6 years ago, Coach Kelly hugged his seniors while walking up this very tunnel after knocking off USC to complete an undefeated season. Saturday night, he got to do it again. I'm standing here in the end zone of AT&T Stadium, a place Notre Dame never saw in the Cotton Bowl as the Irish were held to just 3 points. It's become a familiar scene for Notre Dame, confetti spilled across the floor, and hoops with no nets as the Irish are once again headed back to the Final Four. As last year's national championship banner falls from the rafters here at Amalie Arena, so too do the Irish dreams for back-to-back titles. Down by as many as 17, Notre Dame came all the way back, only to lose by a single point, 82-81 to Baylor. After the game, the Irish locker room was a mix of sadness, disappointment, and shock. So much of sports can just be whittled down to numbers. As sports fans, we love stats, and as a reporter, I use stats every day. On the field, Greg's stats weren't all that impressive, but as I said, much of sports can be whittled down to numbers, but not all. Greg is a perfect example of why. He and I both joined the football program at the same time, him as a 5-star running back, and me as a grunt student manager. We couldn't have been more different in our backgrounds or our roles on the team, but with Greg, that didn't matter. He had an infectious personality and a giant megawatt smile that just never seemed to leave his face. Everyone that knew him couldn't help but love him, his teammates, his coaches, and yeah, even us managers. 2 years after his death, Greg Bryan is still just as missed. Rest in peace, GB.
Brian Kelly turns to Ian Book, hoping he can bring consistency and big plays to the passing game.
In 9 years, Brian Kelly has had 7 different starting quarterbacks. Dane Christ, Tommy Rees, Everett Golson, Malik Zaire, Deshaun Kaiser, Brandon Wimbush, and now Ian Book. Some alarming facts from that lineup. Christ and Wimbush are the only 2 to start consecutive season openers. But Christ got pulled after just a half that second season.
Notre Dame trailing South Florida 13-0.
Wimbush after 3 games.
Their passing game, they need more productivity.
Of the 5 QBs no longer at Notre Dame, Rees, the current quarterback's coach, is the only starter who didn't transfer or leave early. And only twice has the same man started under center for Kelly's Irish for an entire year. Rees's senior season in 2013 and Kaiser in 2016 before he left early for the NFL draft. So just how much does all that QB upheaval matter to a team's success? It's never seemed to bother Kelly.
I'm not sure about crazy, but he's certainly gutsy.
He's always shunned the adage that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. In fact, before the season, he told me having 2 QBs actually calmed him this year.
We have 2 quarterbacks now that combined have won 10 football games for us and beat some quality opposition. So you feel a little bit more relaxed.
And while he went with Wimbush, praising his skills,
and Brandon has the ability to really break open a game.
It was clear Book would always be an option.
His mindset is such that he comes to work every day knowing that I better be ready to step in for Notre Dame and help us win.
He got that chance, and that leads us to this week. Book's explosive outing against Wake has many Irish fans excited and anointing him the starter. But Kelly, he's sticking to the same tune.
We've prepared both quarterbacks. They're both ready to play.
And the quarterback carousel just keeps spinning. Even if Book starts the rest of the season, that's no guarantee for next year. Second seasons have been tough on Kelly's Irish QBs. Just ask Brandon Wimbush for that. And no one can forget that there's this guy who made his debut last week. Phil Jurkovec is right there waiting in the wings. While many kids are spending their summers at camps or in pools, these kids are hitting the links at Island Hills Golf Course. They're a part of the Junior PGA, a golf league for kids ages 13 and under across the country, and now in its 4th year in Southwest Michigan.
We saw a need for getting kids more introduced to the game and in a low-stress competitive atmosphere, and the PGA Junior League was a perfect fit. And boy, we've seen growth every year.
The kids at Island Hills learn the game and compete throughout the summer against other teams in the area. Most of all, though, they have a whole lot of fun.
You don't really need to win. It's just for the fun and being with your teammates. I like that I get to do golf. I get to play on real golf courses. That's what I like about doing. And I also like playing matches. And the more challenging the course, the more funner it is.
Don't be mistaken, though. Some of these kids have serious game.
It's fun to see them hit shots that maybe your average 13 and under age group child probably shouldn't hit, but it is really fun, and it's exciting to watch. And yeah, there is a couple players that, you know, when they get up in high school, you will probably hear about them down the road.
And while they're out there having a blast and learning about driving and putting, they may even be taking away something more.
The game of golf is all about honesty and integrity. It's all about being a good teammate, encouraging your teammates. And so, yeah, they're learning all of those life skills that not only are good for golf, but any other sport they might play and just life in general.
Tomorrow, the South Bend Eastside 10U All-Star Baseball team will compete in the Cal Ripken World Series after last week's victory in the Ohio Valley Regional. The MVP of that tournament was the team's star pitcher, Pearson Salt, who's winning not only on the diamond, but also in the fight against cancer.
Eastside on 3. 1, 2, 3, Eastside!
At a wiffle ball tournament, Pearson Salt looks like just another kid, running around and having fun with his friends. But his story is far from normal. He was just named MVP of the Ohio Valley Regional and now has his team in the Cal Ripken World Series. His prowess on the diamond isn't the only thing that sets him apart, though. 10-year-old Pearson Salt is battling cancer. In January 2017, Pearson complained of pain in his left arm. Doctors originally said it was just growing pain, but unfortunately, it was much more serious. That March, Pearson was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma.
Words can't explain it. It was very hard, but you had to be strong at the same time for them and for our kids at home.
Yep.
The worst things.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst went through our minds. But he always kept a positive attitude, and he actually got us through it.
Yeah.
He eventually had to have the humerus bone in his left arm removed and replaced. His parents worried for his life. Pearson worried he might never get to play baseball again.
Well, it was pretty hard, but I managed to get through it, and now I'm here going to the World Series.
We weren't allowed to cry in front of him.
Yeah.
He would not allow that. And I'm crying now more post-cancer than I did during. During, you react and you take care of what needs to be done.
What needs to be done,
you know,
we do.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. Now you have time to sit back and reflect. And
last July, they received the good news. Pearson was cancer-free. He finished chemotherapy this past December and now is leading his team to the Cal Ripken World Series.
Well, I just looked back at it. I was like, easy.
We're not the highest, most religious people, but God chose him for a reason. And he proved that you could go through this and come out on the other side and be out here playing baseball again.
Healthy again, Pearson's thoughts are now solely on the diamonds.
I'm just staying focused on the game and not worrying about anything else in the world but just playing the game.
Right where they belong. Now, Pearson's fight is far from over. Despite his test showing greater than 99.9% of the cancer is gone, doctors don't describe childhood cancer as being in remission. Ewing sarcoma can come back and is most likely to within the first 2 years of treatment. Pearson has to continue to go down to Indy every 3 months for checkups for the next year and a half. And if the cancer hasn't returned, then every 6 months for at least the next 5 years. But Pearson and his family aren't thinking about all of that. After all, Pearson has a much more pressing timeline. Starting tomorrow, he and his teammates will try to bring home the Cal Ripken World Series championship.